Down I went to Paris.
Everybody, let's come to the dinner table.
Okay, nice. So let's get started.
Repeat after me, everybody.
Okay.
Down I went to Paris.
Down I went to Paris.
So, the book The Republic is about justice, beauty, power, and what a perfect state really means. Now, the thing is, Plato did not believe in democracy. He did see it as ideal, but he thought that the people of Greece were too stupid and cuckoo to actually carry it out. And so he thought that democracy would be more like, what could I say for it? Plutocracy, maybe. So, a kakistocracy, which means rule by the stupidest. So, the thing was, he didn't believe in democracy. He believed in philosopher kings, rule by the rule of the smartest. So he believed in kings, monarchs, being philosophers. So, in book 7 of the Republic, Plato talked about what he thought was a perfect state. And it's part of book 7 of the Republic was the Allegory of Plato's cave. Which sounds pretty scary, but it's not scary at all. It's not scary at all, I promise. So, the allegory goes like this. It's a discussion between Socrates and another Greek guy, another Greek philosopher. This is an imaginary discussion, not a real one. Socrates had been poisoned and executed long before this entire story was written. However, Socrates was Plato's teacher, so Plato was inspired to talk about Socrates in his book. So they come up with an analogy for ignorance together. So they imagine a cave where prisoners are chained to the ceiling and they are forced to look at the wall of a cave. There is a dim fire behind them, lighting up the wall. And from time to time, people walk behind the fire, carrying animals or other objects. And that casts shadows on the wall. As those shadows on the wall are casted, those prisoners give names to the shadows. Like, for example, dog, book, cat, stuff like that. And Plato saw the shadows as a metaphor for all of those ordinary things, the things we are only able to perceive using common sense. However, eventually, to see what happens, the prison guard lets one of the prisoners free. And the freed prisoner now walks outside, seeing what he can do. And the outside world is extremely disorienting to him. Why? Because there was such...
1 second, I need a pen and paper. I have to write something. 1 second. Okay, I have a question to ask you. Yeah, you can continue.
Freed prisoner walks outside and he is extremely disoriented and confused by the sun because he's never been exposed to such white light before. But he eventually gets used to the sun and all of the objects in the outside world. Still, he can't come to believe that all of the stuff all of the shadows that he saw in the cave, they were just illusions. And he saw this more perfect reality outside of the cave. And Plato saw the outside world as a metaphor for all of the perfect concepts, like beauty and, for example, mathematics. And Plato saw the shadows as just a flawed, imperfect, real-life version of these concepts. So, finally, the prisoner goes back inside the cave to report his finding to the other prisoners. He is delighted by what he has seen, but he cannot see inside the cave anymore. He cannot find the prisoners because his sight has been adjusted to the bright light of the outside world. So his eyes are not adjusted to the dark light of the cave. So the others think that the outside world has made that person go blind, and they outright refuse to. They outright reject they don't just reject the offer to go outside. They reject him and shoo him away from the cave so that they can look at more shadows. So it's a really great and a touching story, not only illustrating how ancient Greeks saw like the planes of reality, the planes of the higher world a long time ago, but also a lesson that is still relevant all the way 2,200 years to present. And that lesson is that a lot of people are ignorant, and they will become very hostile to you if you point out their ignorance. Nobody wants their ignorance to be pointed out. Just like how the freedman pointed out the ignorance of the caveman, and the caveman shooed the freedman away from the cave. So, it's a great story of how illusions and ignorance keep you prisoner, and that how ignorance is bliss, but knowing the truth is always better. Now, I see you have a question, so can you ask it?
I used to be also a prisoner by the constraint of Piaget, thinking that the little child cannot learn big thing, that a 7-year-old child should be playing with the toys, and then 5-year-old child cannot do big thing like solving calculus problem. But I somehow got free from that prison by someone called Lev Vygotsky. And then I went on to tell other people that, look, they can play with numbers, they can even play with the calculus, they can even play with the physics, and they can even discover or invent big ideas like as Gauss did when he was 9 years old. So I freed myself from that prison and went on to tell people, but people laughed at me.
I see.
Just like the prisoners in the cave.
So what's the
I have a question. Did Plato put the common sense over reasoning or reasoning over common sense?
Well, he put reasoning over common sense, I would say.
But in our society, people put common sense over reasoning, right?
Right.
You have.
Thank you.
What is the first line again? So beautiful.
Down I went to Piraeus.
Down I went to Piraeus.